Alright folks, welcome to Tank Tuesday, and if you're new to this channel, we have a 300-gallon aquarium, we have 2 largemouth bass, Bonnie and Clyde, and we have the most savage bluegill on planet Earth, and his name is Sheriff. And we film videos every Tuesday of this tank, and we show feeding videos. We do a lot of interactive style content to where we let you guys tell us what you want to see in the next videos. We've even put stuff in this tank that you guys wanted in the tank. So last week's video, a lot of you guys wanted to see us sample with artificial lures, drop down some fishing lures that we would typically fish with down here and see how these fish reacted. And right now you can tell how hungry they are by how they're pacing back and forth. So we have some special treats lined up, and we are going to start off with one of our custom painted topwater poppers, and we're going to get a reaction and see if these fish will hit artificial bait. And they've never seen artificial lures. We've never done this before, so I could imagine the first thing we drop down in there, they're going to crush it, just because that's the type of fish they are. But we're about to roll the clips on artificial baits starting now. And on one other side note, we've taken the hooks off of all the lures we're going to drop in, so there's nothing that we could put in that's going to harm these fish. Alright, before we put the lures in, actually a couple of guys asked us if we would put our finger down in the tank and see if they would bite our finger. So Liz, you going to put your finger down in there?
No way.
Alright, you hold the camera, I'll put my finger in there, and let's see how they react to a human finger. This is brave. Sheriff was the first one, the bluegill, to hit it. One more time. Yep, he's definitely going to eat fingers. So, guys, this is not to endorse any lures. This is just to see how fish react in an aquarium environment. So, we're about to drop a topwater popper in to start off. One other quick thing. We don't have an entire open surface up here, so what I'm going to have to do is pull the lure up under here, pull it up under here, drop it right here, and then we'll kind of swim it across the top, see if they hit it. You know, if we're dropping jigs or whatever, we'll just drop them down and see how they react. But for topwater, I'm going to kind of send it across the top, and let's see what happens. I was not even able to get it under the water. Alright, so my idea about putting it under there is not going to work, because once it goes in the water, they're hitting it immediately. So we're just going to drop this one in right on the surface, and I have a feeling they're going to hit it right away. Alright, bait number 1, topwater popper. Alright, we definitely got some strikes from the bass. I'm not going to tease them too much with that. Let's drop something down like a jig next. You like jigs? Alright, the first bait we tried was a topwater popper. Now we're about to try a 3/8 ounce jig with a crawfish trailer. And what I've done is I've cut the hook off, so there is no hook on here. Let's see how this works. Alright, up next, the 3/8 ounce jig. Alright guys, so we definitely got some activity on that jig, and the one cool thing that I noticed was as soon as they would bite it, they'd shoot through this little stone hinge right here, and I think that's typical of what you see out there in the wild. You know, whenever the fish bite it, they take off and try to get to cover and eat. And another thing I noticed was that as one of them would bite it, the other one would come in. You know, once they see that the other bass is feeding, they think it's feeding time, so they come in and kind of try to school up and feed together. So jig definitely worked. Alright folks, next up we have a topwater frog, a shad style swim bait, and then a big 10-inch June bug worm. So we're going to put these in, all the hooks are off, and see if they will eat any of these. It's kind of a challenge getting these rigged up without any hooks on or anything to tie to. I'm not gonna lie. Alright folks, next up, lunker hunt popping frog. They want no part in it. That's the first lure that they have not touched. Oh, oh. We got some excitement. Oh, here we go. Gotta work it a little. Alright, they're hiding. Oh, oh, the bluegill! The bluegill! Oh, and now the bass is getting a little excited. Our frog legs are mixed up. Show Bonnie over there. Bonnie is literally hiding from this frog. I've never seen Bonnie hide like that. Oh, look at Clyde. Clyde's thinking about it. So far, Sheriff was the only one that wanted anything to do with a topwater frog. Alright, I don't want my fish to be unhappy with me, so we're going to actually give them a little bit of food to make them happy, get them eating, and then we'll continue. Clover. 4-leaf clover. Guys, you'll never see that again. A bass bit up a 4-leaf clover. That is what you call a lucky bass right there. They just ate a 4-leaf clover. Never seen that before in my life. You guys are lucky. Alright folks, next up, a shad style swim bait. Oh, the bluegill and the bass. Oh. They've all three hit it. That's what you call a trifecta.
She says, that doesn't smell like a real fish.
Alright, as always, one of the most impressive sights in this tank is Sheriff the Bluegill. He's not afraid to go up and hit a frog, a shad, basically anything he thinks he can eat, even though I think his imagination is a little bit bigger than his mouth. But he's always up for trying it out.
Alright, so next up we'll do my favorite big bass lure, the 10-inch June bug worm.
Alright, that is all the artificial bait we're going to do for this video. We're about to do some live feedings. But if you guys enjoyed the artificial bait and would like to see another series on that, leave a thumbs up and also tell us what type of lures you would like to see us drop down in front of them and test out. Alright folks, now we're going to answer some questions from last week's video. The first one comes from NC Bank Angler. Hey BamaBass, when are you going to do a video on how Bonnie and Clyde react to lures, and could you use a jig and a jerk bait? Also, were you RUSSE 048 a long time ago? That is correct. NC, you are an old time fan. Years ago our channel used to be named Russ 048 and we eventually changed it to BamaBass. And you are one of the reasons we did this video of seeing how our bass would react to different lures. Next question comes from Kermit the Frog. He asks, how much does your tank cost? Again, we haven't tallied up all of the cost, but if you look in our video description, all these links are to products that we have purchased to put in the tank. So if any of you want to go through and calculate it all up, feel free to. It's a lot of cost. I almost don't even want to tally it all up. Alright, next question from Mason Green is, BamaBass, what part of Alabama are you? I'm in Autauga County. We are in Spanish Fort, Alabama. That's down near Mobile in the southern part of Alabama. Alright, next question from Jacob Lowe. BamaBass, how come Bonnie and Clyde and Sheriff spit out the scales off the minnows? I like the way he spelled minnows. So that's one really cool thing about bass, is they have in their mouth, they have a way of descaling these minnows. And if you think about it, it's the same way for people. Whenever they eat fish, you don't eat the scales. The scales don't provide any benefit. The fish's mouths are actually designed to descale these minnows as they eat them, and that's one really cool thing we learned after putting bass in a tank. And it almost looks like they shoot out a little pile of glitter, but that's actually the scales off the minnows. Alright, next question comes from Ryan Frank. Did the bass get the frog you put in a while ago? No, actually we put in a half tadpole, half frog, and we ended up naming him Lucky. And in one of our latest videos, Lucky survived long enough in the tank to become a frog, and so we released him. And so you can go check out that video where we released him, and he is out in the wild right now. We're going to try to do updates here in the future, and Lucky is happy as can be, and he is a frog and no longer in the tank. Alright, next question comes from Fishbone 1436. Hey guys, first I'd like to say I'm loving the tank and I could watch it all day. So speaking of that, have you ever thought about live streaming the tank 24/7? I'm a fisherman, so I could watch and learn so much from just watching that habitat all day. So originally, before we even got the 300-gallon tank, we decided we were going to do a live stream. Well, since we've gotten it, there's several things that kind of complicate it. One is the lights are only on in the tank probably 8 to 10 hours a day. Two is having a camera that we could set up to where, just say if you guys wanted to view it, you could hop on a website and go view the tank at any time. But we also need to get the right stand and get it at the right height to where you can view it and scan left to right to see the entire tank. So that is something we'll probably have in the future, Fishbone, so look forward to that coming up. So that's going to wrap up today's video, and if you'd like to see more videos of artificial baits in our fish tank, make sure to leave it a thumbs up and tell us what type of lures you would like to see down in the comments below. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and in the next coming weeks we're going to show you what we're going to be doing with our 55-gallon tank. Should be exciting. See you all next week.
Bonnie and Clyde were pretty looking people, but I can tell you people, they were the devil's children. Bonnie and Clyde began their evil doing one lazy afternoon down Savannah